All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. This is Pastor Dow Community Experiences number 2. Obvious, everybody already knows that I am probably the premier go-to person concerning viable, functioning, successful Israelite communities. Now, there are a lot of communities out there. There are Christian communities all over the United States of America, but there are not too many successfully functioning communities. That's where I come in. People can talk about communities all day long, but as the old saying goes, talk is cheap. There's very few people that actually really truly can comprehend. I can get on here and I can talk to you about the inception and the beginning of community. I really truly can. But you know what that's going to do? It's only talk. Because talk simply cannot ever replace the wisdom of experience. I mean, I'm willing to share information with anybody who's willing to learn and listen. I'm not going to lord over anybody. But I would tell you this, that the majority of communities, or the majority of people that start communities, within 3 years, they fail. And the reason why they fail is because I want you all to listen to me very closely. A lack of strong, disciplined leadership. Is y'all what I said? Because when you get out to a community, number one, the first thing you're going to meet is the devil. Everything that you do, you're going to have resistance, you're going to have opposition, and if your character is not spiritually strong, if you're not strong enough spiritually, it's going to fail. You're destined to fail. And if you do not depend upon Yah, you're going to fail. You're simply going to fail. I don't mind telling you that I learned a lot about leadership while I was a staff sergeant in the United States Army. I mean, I started off with private E2, private first class, specialist, sergeant, staff sergeant. And I'm telling you, I can even give you the definition of leadership. Leadership is the process of influencing man in such a manner in order to accomplish the mission. In other words, can you influence people enough to be able to accomplish the mission? Now, as a leader over men at a young age in the military, I had leaders in front of me that I wouldn't follow nowhere. I wouldn't do it. I would not follow them anywhere. How can I say this to try to give you wisdom? But I found out the best form of leadership is by example. You know the reason why I say that? People can say all day long. They can say it all day long. All day long they can say it. We're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But I tell you what, when you start, as the proverbial rubber meets the roads and the pitfalls come, you're going to find out that a lot of people who say a lot of things, how did Paul put it? They great swelling words of vanity. That's what most people have. I didn't talk much about community because at first I didn't comprehend, I didn't understand it, but I did know that I was a strong leader. And the reason why I was a strong leader is because I led by example. Prior to getting to the community, I'd done everything that I knew how to do, which wasn't much at all, in learning how to build, because I knew that you wasn't going to come out here. You was not going to come to a community and break ground and actually know how to build anything. You're going to have to learn. So I've learned a few things from people, and I went out and got my own experience in itself. And then I learned, I got building books over here. I read them. I studied them. I immersed myself in them. I remember when I was in school, I ain't going to never have to use this math stuff and stuff like this ever again. And man, I used it the whole time when I was in the military. And of course, many of you, if you ever been to air assault school, you know you're going to use it. I definitely had to use it on every single building out here. It's just amazing. Now, over the years, I've had at least out of the was 18. We're going on, 19 years. It actually boots on the ground here at Straitway. But the thought of me doing this actually entered into my mind in 1994. It wasn't until 1998, and mind you, I was still in the military in 94. It wasn't until 1998 that I actually put boots on the ground and actually purchased the land to move to the community. Now, in other words, that took me 4 years. 4 years of really, truly, look, I want y'all to really, truly listen to me and grasp what I'm saying. Staying focused, not deterred from the right or left. I had my first opposition was family. I just started keeping the commandments. I was a crackpot in the coop. So I already knew that this is negativity. These people don't get what I'm trying to do. Because what is it? I'm obeying y'all. I read the book of Acts and I'm obeying y'all. Most people got community together because it was just a good thing to do in homestead and stuff. But I obeyed y'all. And I don't mind telling you that I would travel around to communities that were already established. I've been to one here in Tennessee. Man, I can't even remember where that place was. I went to two in South Carolina. And I would look to see the way they do things. And then I would apply the way, according to the landscape of our land, I would apply it here. That's what I would do. I would apply what I knew that would fit with us. And so, I mean, it's tough. It's very tough because if you're going to be a good leader, and I said it once, I said it 1,000 times, people don't follow titles, they follow strength. People don't follow words because, see, I am by nature, I want y'all to listen to me, by nature, a hard working man. Did y'all hear what I'm saying? By nature I am. I can work with you. I can sit in this office for 2 months and get out of this office and still work from sun up to sundown. I can do that. I can do that. The people that I had at the inception of this community when they first started, hard working. And I don't mind telling you that there's been more people. There's been an extraordinary amount of people leave because they simply just couldn't hack the physicality. They simply couldn't hack the spirituality of it because you have to be disciplined to live on a community. You have to be disciplined. Nobody comes to a community disciplined. Nobody comes to a community, and that includes the leaders. Nobody comes to the community knowing and expecting or thinking that they have it all down pat. No, they don't. Because when the dynamic of another individual enter in, that changes everything. Because you're going to have to learn how to deal with what the Bible says, iron sharpeneth iron. It was, I don't know how many years ago, that's the first time I met Pastor Fox. Pastor Fox stopped by here. Him and his wife, Sister Kate, they stayed right here in the house. And Pastor Fox had already done his investigation. Pastor Fox had already had a successful church out there in Kansas. A whole bunch of congregations. I went out there a couple of times. In other words, I reconned the area. Now, I know that I'm not going to go into a bunch of military stuff, and I know that many of you don't comprehend and understand. Pastor Fox was a major in the military, and I'm a staff sergeant. And that means he was an officer. I'm a non-commissioned officer. So therefore, he would outrank me because he would be the brass. And in case you don't understand that, don't worry about it. But Pastor Fox had already looked at a few communities, looked at a couple of people in communities, and he discerned after doing his investigation that, you know what, I'm going to come to Straitway because I like the spirit that's going on Straitway. And he got here, he looked around and he looked at me. We were sitting at the kitchen table. He says, you know that you are one of the only successful Israelite communities that I've ran across. Think about that. I went out there. I looked at the assembly where he was. I even had questions and answers twice. One in the church, one at his house with people. And I looked at him. I told him, I said, you're pretty much going to lose all these people. And guess what? He lost every single one of those people. Not a one of them followed him now. And he had a church full of folks. Isn't that amazing? Did I go out there to tell him that because that's what I wanted to tell him? No. because my experience and discernment already let me be able to see what other people can't see. And that's the reason why wisdom, listen to me, is applied knowledge. So if you want to go ahead, many of you, and make the mistakes and try to reinvent the wheel, most of you won't make it. Most of you won't make it. I've had people start communities and then just ball it up and just throw it in the towel. They can't take it. You know what they can't take? They can't take humanity. And that's why I say strong leadership. And I don't mean always going around hollering and screaming and stuff. You've got to know them that labor among you. You have to know each individual's character. You have to have experience in that, whether you believe it, comprehend it, understand it or not. More than anything, you need a ruach. You need the actual baptism, because if you don't have the baptism of the ruach or the Holy Spirit, you're not going to have anything to lead you or to guide you, influence you whatsoever at all. Isn't it amazing that with many of you out there who believe me to be so harsh, so cruel, so brash, so insensitive, isn't it amazing that year after year after year after year after year, Straitway just continues to keep growing, keep growing, keep growing, keep growing? Hey, listen, in 2012, and I'm just going to go back and use 2012. I can go back to 10, but 2012, and I think it was 2011 when I went out. I started going out and I started doing meetings at different places. I went to North Carolina, Florida, California. I went to all different types of places and stuff and held meetings, and people would come out, and I'm getting ready to do that again. And they would come out to hear from Pastor Dowell. I've been to Canada. I held meetings, particular meetings, so that people could get a feel for me, because most of you think that you know me. The only person you know about Pastor Dowell is behind his video camera and when I'm preaching. And you're looking at, I hope I can say something here. You're looking at two total different dynamics there. You see, when I'm behind this camera, you notice that my demeanor and posture is a whole lot different than when I'm preaching in the assembly. Did y'all notice that? But there's also a different Pastor Dowell when I'm out here on the land, which most of you would never know. And I can't tell you how many times people have come over here, and when I first met them or when they first heard, I just literally disgusted them. There's been people that actually come here that set out to prove me wrong, but because they had the spirit of truth, they actually done their own due diligence, opened up the Bible, investigated what I had to say, and they come to find out, oh crap, this man telling the truth, he's right. And then they made a choice and decision to what? Come and see. Come and see what? Come and see what a man of y'all is really doing. And I had people tell me in 94, 98, 2000, 2002, it's going to fail. You're coming down. And blah, 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 blah. And of course, now look, my head is full of gray hair. I'm 50 years old now. You understand what I mean? And all those people have gone off into the horizon, off into oblivion, off into you never hear from them. You don't even know them. They done dropped off the face of planet Earth. Guess who's still preaching, teaching, and ministering, delivering? That's the difference. Because, see, we don't only preach it, we live it. And living is a total different dynamic than just sitting behind a desk and talking about it. There's a dynamic to everything you do in life, which most people can't comprehend and understand. You know, people can talk about a lot of things, but that doesn't mean you have the experience. And if you don't have the experience, you definitely don't have the wisdom. And so I've developed a very good friendship and relationship that I'm going to keep with my brother and my friend, Pastor Fox. He has a community out there. I've been out there to help them successfully. Pastor Fox has been out here to help us, him and his wife. And whenever people are going and, you know, moving around, or whenever people are close to that area, I advise people there's a pastor up there in that area. Pastor Fox is up there in that area. Now, Pastor Fox and I are two total different men. We have the same ruach, but we're two total different men. I'm a whole lot more brash. I'm a whole lot more straight to the point. Bam! But don't get me wrong. Pastor Fox is the exact same way. It's just that his spirit is more acceptable because of the way he speaks. But make no mistake about this. That man means what he says and says what he means. Period. And see, because most of you are built on feelings, you get into your emotions. You don't know the difference. You don't know the difference. And so far a mountain is growing. I send people out to Pastor Corey's place out there in Missouri. There's probably like 50-something saints out there now. I send people to Georgia. We got 2 communities in Georgia. We got one in South Carolina. We got one in Kentucky that is up and running and developing, and it's going at breakneck speed. And of course, they all. Well, you have to understand that I'm kind of like the chief. I'm the chief. All right. And at times they come to me for wisdom and advice. I'm not lording over any of them. I give them what I think about a certain situation. I give them advice, things about what I do. Why? Because Pastor Dow has the applied, I have the wisdom or the applied knowledge. I have the experience. I've had thousands of people come to my homestead, my community, or shall I say, Yah's community. And I'm just a custodian over it. I've taken literally everything that the Father has given me and put it all back into the land and all back into the people. Most people are too selfish and too insensitive to do that. There's a lot of temptations that you're going to deal with out on the community, a whole bunch of them. And you have to be spiritually strong enough. You have to get ready to be lied upon and know how to handle it. You have to be ready to be slandered and know how to handle it. You have to be ready for false brethren to arise and accuse you of all different types of things. For instance, with social media, I never thought that people would misuse social media to slander and defame my name, my character. But at the same time, I don't really care about it. You know the reason why? Because the scripture says, he that have ears to hear, let him hear what the Ruah, the Spirit says. So Yah is going to bring the people this way who are his people that want to be fed, and they're going to grow in grace and grow in knowledge. But those who are, I don't know what you want to call them, insurrectors, those who are troublers of Israel or whatever it is, in due time they'll be manifested, and then they go on. And then after that, they go off and you'll never hear nothing else from them. But it's easier to say this is what we want to do as far as a community, but it's another thing to do it. I promise you. I've seen many people start and many people fail. I used to fellowship with a community up in Kentucky 15 years ago, and it's gone. It's totally gone. And that community has probably been running 30 years. It's gone. And it's sad. It's really, truly, it truly is sad. I can save people a lot of steps, a lot of time, a lot of energy, and a lot of effort. I've even had the Hebrew Israelite camps contact me. The only problem is that, amongst Hebrew Israelites, I think that, the negativity, the racism, the disparaging comments, the attitudes and stuff, that stuff right there is a block. It's a block, and it's going to keep people from the path that they should be going. Because when you're in a certain place or you're at a certain position, you expect people to do things your way. Remember, I said before, I'm not contacting anybody. If you want to learn anything, you're going to contact me, and then it's going to, whatever I choose to do is going to be determined on my schedule, because I'm a whole lot busier now than what I was 10 years ago. My time is very precious, and it's getting more precious because everybody is seeking for Pastor Dowell's time. I've had a lot of heartaches. I had more successes than failures. But a failure is really truly not a failure when you learn from it. There are things that I've learned that, man, I tell you, that's the reason why other communities had contact me, because I can save them a lot of steps. I give them a lot of wisdom, save them a lot of steps, because as the old saying goes, been there, done it. Make no mistake about it, though. I understand that many people out there, they want to, do their thing, do their own thing. I just had another family buy a nice piece of property up there in Arkansas, close to the Ozarks, or close to Pastor Fox. And they're faithful supporters here at Straitway. And usually a lot of people that support Straitway and stuff, if you're part of us, and they know that you're in good standing with us, they will end up supporting you if you're doing a community, and they know that you have my approval. But, you know, in every company, there is a CEO, and that's the one thing we don't like. We don't like being under authority. What we want to do is we want to be, I'll give you an example. You're in the banking system. You got Goldman Sachs, you had Lehman Brothers, you had Chase Manhattan, and of course, all of them are in the same sector. The world is a big old pie, and all of them are trying to get a big old slice out of the pie. Now, they don't want the whole pie. If they could have it, they'll take it. But they're all trying to get a little slice out of the whole pie. And of course, what's ultimately going to happen? Well, when the proverbial rubber meets the road, like in the financial market of 2008 crash, what happens? You're going to see a lot of these people that was big in the financial market. What happened to them? Now they're no longer. They're gone. They're gone off into history, dust in the wind, and they ain't coming back. Did y'all hear what I said? And they ain't coming back. But there's one that still stands. No matter what, it's still there. Y'all know what that financial institution is? If you don't know, if you've been listening to me for a while, you should already know. But it's still there. And it's continually to keep on growing and growing and growing. Because you know why? Somewhere in the midst of all of that, while we doing our own thing, there's a ecosystem that is already in place in this world. They consider those people competition. And sooner or later, somebody has to die out in the competition. And then guess what? All the people that they had, that they were financial advisors and stuff, guess where they're going to go? They're going to go to the last standing or the last few standing financial resources. And they're ultimately going to end up over there supporting them. Are y'all listening to me? Are y'all listening? In other words, I'm not telling everybody they need to come to me and be a part of me. You're going to have to make that choice and decision. What I'm saying is that y'all has given me the wisdom, the knowledge, the comprehension, understanding. You have to understand. Right now, I'm developing young men. You know why? And there's a lot of people, a lot of communities out there that once that man dies, the community is over with. It's done. Not Pastor Dowell. It takes time to develop leadership, strong leadership. I would venture to say it takes at least 15 years for someone to develop a good, strong, dynamic leadership, base status and intelligence before they would know how to really, truly lead in this environment right here. At least that. I'm talking about strong leader. And before you can be in authority, you have to be under authority. And that's the one thing that everybody wants to skip. They want to skip being under authority because they want to be in authority. I understand you have a vision, but remember Christ said, without me, you can do nothing. Folks, I'm telling you right now, go out there. Go ahead and do what you want. But the one thing I don't like is when people, they didn't want any wisdom. They want nothing to do with me. They want nothing whatsoever at all. All right? Because you know, when you're under authority, that means you're going to get reproved, you're going to get rebuked, you're going to get corrected, you're going to get admonished, you're going to get screamed at, you're going to get hollered at, you're going to get pat on the back, you're going to get hugs, you're going to get all that. And if you miss out on any part of those dynamics right there, you will not be a successful Israelite community. It just won't happen. Nowhere. So you have to learn. You really truly have to learn how to be a leader. And the learning experience, this ain't, I mean, think about that. Out there in the world, it takes, just to become a lawyer, it takes a minimum of 8 years of schooling. To become a lawyer or a doctor, a minimum. Before a doctor, even longer than that, before you can even begin to practice. But we get a thought in our head, and then we jump out there, and we think that we're going to be able to do this. Whew. I had the humility to know how to listen because I've always been the youngest. Now, a lot of these places that I've been, chances are I will never step foot back on their grounds again. Number one, because I'm not welcome. Number two, I don't want to. And one of them, I really truly don't have any ambition whatsoever at all, because the spirit is so foul there. It's so foul, and it's going down. Again, here's another thing, that once the leaders are gone, the community is gone. Because why? You don't have people in place, reared up and developed with maturity and discernment, that know how to lead people. You see, we don't pick and choose leaders. Yah does. Yah places his spirit inside of men. And we give you the word. We give you the truth. We give you the dynamics of life, not to keep it to ourselves, because it does no good. Think about this. If I never came on YouTube, where would you be at today? I didn't say that you wouldn't be in the Father, but where would you be at today? And if y'all didn't give you the ears to hear me, most of you, y'all directed you to me. If you never came here and I didn't teach you how to heal, how to cast out devils, where would you in the assembly be at today? Where would you be at today? Because see, as a pastor, I'm a whole lot different than a lot of people. I am a hands-on pastor. I actually get down there and teach you. I pull you to a side. I do. And I give you I pour into you everything that I have, and everything that y'all's given me, I'm willing to give it to you freely. You have to live it from there. You have to. I'll give you direction. And most people are not like it. Most people are selfish. They want all the focus on them. They want all the attention on them. They want everybody to look to them. And they can't even heal a gnat of a toothache. It's sad. They have no power, no nothing. All they have is words. Words. Just words. You have to have a spirit, a charismatic spirit, a good spirit, that people are willing to listen to and be drawn to. Those and only those people who are serious minded will come the straight way truth. Because only serious minded people listen to Pastor Dowell. That's it, period. And the further we go, it's getting more narrow for people even become part of the ministry, because we have a vetting process. We check people. We really truly do. You may not think that we are, but we do. We check people, and we check them closely. And I've learned in this rebellious society, this rebellious generation that we're in, that most people, they hate correction. What does the Bible say about those who hate correction? Correction is grievous unto them that forsaketh the way. And then also says, rebuke not a scorner. Because if you rebuke someone as a scorner, you know what they're going to do? They're going to hate you. Now, how are you going to know if someone's a scorner? And then if you rebuke certain people, you're going to get to yourself a blot. Do you want a blot? I mean, there's a lot of things you have to learn. And I don't mind telling you, I've had people been with me 10 years, go right back to the world. You never hear from them again. Guess what Pastor Dowell's still doing? I'm still trucking, and going to keep on trucking until the king comes, or either my time is expired on this earth. But until then, you ever heard this thing called circles and inner circles? There are people that are inside my small inner circle. Small inner circle. Moses had something like that too. And then the circle, there are people on that part of the circle. Then there are people on that part of the circle. Then there are people on that part of the circle. And as a leader, you have to know who's who and who's what. And you have to be able to go from there. And one of the worst things is, and I've seen a lot of people do this, especially people who claim to be leaders, is whenever they hearken unto the voice of their wives concerning community affairs and affairs of elders and matters of the elders. It's just a sad situation. And I saw them all fall, every single one of them, and still seeing them fall. Now you got men out there worshiping women, calling them their protector and their goddess, and she's my protector. Oh, it gets sickening. See, if you don't keep yourself to the plumb line, if you don't keep your hand to the plow, you would detour off. And you'll get vainly puffed up in the spirit of your mind. And the only thing you have left is the form of godliness. And that's it. You'll deny the power. And of course, the instructions teach us from those type of people you always turn away from. And once you get into that, you become part of them and stuff. You become blinded, not only to yourself, but to them. You don't even know good from evil, right from wrong, left from right, up from down. You're really messed up. And they could blaspheme the name of Yah. They could blaspheme the Holy Spirit. They could dog out and talk about all the patriarchs who Yah has favored towards and who they are in the kingdom. And the jury is still out for us. And it can get to that point right there, and you'll be so blinded because you'll be following a man rather than following Yah. You've got one time and one way to pass this way. That's it. You better hope you get it right. But anyway, community experience is number 2, the dynamic of leadership. And most people just simply don't have it. If you're not a leader, and believe me, I can let you know if you're a leader or not. If you're not a leader, you'd be better off being a part of a movement rather than trying to be the leader. Because in this world, everybody thinks that they are anointed. Everybody thinks that they are a leader. Everybody thinks they're this. But guess what? All you have to do is remember, by their fruit you should know them. All you have to do is watch them and see how anointed they are. Because if they are anointed, Yah will have favor towards them, and you will watch them advance year after year after year after year after year, and there ain't nothing you can do. You can speak against it, you can talk against it, you can come against it, but if Yah's hand is on someone, you're going to watch that tree grow. You're going to watch that fruit not only get ripe, you're going to watch it get pruned, and that tree will grow even more so. We've had a pruning every 2 years, and the tree gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. We're coming up on Passover, and we have the accommodations to be able to do it and to make it. We're coming up on Passover, and we're going to have close to 400 people here on the land. 400 people. Even if you go back in YouTube, you'll watch and see how the ministry has grown. Listen, it has been pruned, and then it grows even more and bears much more fruit. It gets pruned again, and then the ministry grows, and it grows and it gets even more fruit. And that's the process. You'll never understand that unless you become an agricultural people. And that's the truth, and that's the true Straitway. I can continue to keep going on and on. This is enough for community experiences number 2. Hope I said something that will encourage you and stimulate thought, that would give you wisdom. If you missed it, go back and listen to it again and again and again. Put it in your phone, put it on your radio, put it in your car when you're making trips so that you may learn something. But whether you like it or not, there was only one Apostle Paul. There were many apostles, but there was only one Paul. And Yah made him the chief apostle. Go read it. Check it out. And there's wisdom in what I just got finished saying.